I never would have left her to die. She was my child. She was my everything. I would have given my life for her. My baby. I won't ever get to see again. And I'm burying on Sunday.
The findings at the autopsy were a little shocking.
Cheyenne Hill has been arrested in connection to the death of a toddler in 2022.
It's hard to imagine cruelty deeper than what 20-month-old Elliaunna Plummer endured. Her days were not filled with lullabies or laughter, but with silence, bruises, and pain that no child should ever know. She was born on March 25, 2021, in Louisville, Kentucky, to Cheyenne Hill and Aaron Plummer. Her name, Elliaunna, had been carefully chosen. Her middle name, Margie, honored Aaron's late mother, a woman who passed before Elliaunna entered the world. From the outside, the birth of Elliaunna might have seemed like a new beginning. She was a bright, alert little girl, wide-eyed and always watching. Like most children her age, she was just starting to take steps, learning to speak, discovering the world one detail at a time. But behind the apartment door, life was not what it seemed. Elliaunna lived with her mother, Cheyenne Hill, who presented herself as a loving single mom. She brought Elliaunna to church and proudly called her a miracle. But Cheyenne's own past cast a heavy shadow. Raised in a chaotic household where abuse was common, she grew up without a stable father figure and carried that instability into adulthood. By the time Elliaunna turned 1, her parents' relationship had already fallen apart. Aaron Plummer, Elliaunna's father, worked in another state and was mostly absent. Left to raise her daughter alone, Cheyenne made a decision that would prove irreversible. She left Louisville and moved to Bedford, Indiana, hoping for a fresh start. There, she settled in a quiet-looking apartment complex called Maple Ridge Apartments. At first, it seemed like just another change, but that move marked the beginning of the end. In Bedford, Cheyenne met Cameron Fleming, a man who worked in healthcare and lived nearby. He was older, polite, and seemed to know what he was doing. For a single mother with no support, a man with medical experience might have felt like a blessing. But things soon became complicated and dangerous. Unbeknownst to Cheyenne, Cameron's ex-wife, Cara Fleming, lived in the same complex. Tension began to rise. Arguments followed, and little Elliaunna, too small to understand what was happening, was stuck in the middle of it all. Cara became increasingly concerned. From her window, she noticed marks on the child's body, bruises that seemed too frequent, too severe. She later told investigators that something didn't feel right. Over the next 18 months, she reported her concerns to Child Protective Services 4 separate times. The first major red flag came when Elliaunna hit her head during a fall. The swelling was massive, almost the size of a softball. But Cheyenne didn't call an ambulance. She didn't bring Elliaunna to the hospital. Instead, she listened to Cameron, who told her to apply ice and give her over-the-counter medicine. That moment set a pattern that would repeat again and again. Injuries treated at home, no medical professionals involved, no second opinions. In October 2022, when Elliaunna's hair started falling out, Cheyenne finally took her to a clinic. Doctors were concerned. They suspected an autoimmune condition, possibly lupus, and ordered lab work. But when the technician wasn't available that day, Cheyenne simply left and never came back. What might have saved her child was postponed, then forgotten. To neighbors, Cheyenne gave a different explanation for her daughter's hair loss. She claimed that little Ellie had lupus, that she would pull out her own hair, and so Cheyenne shaved her head. But people who saw the child regularly said otherwise. No one had ever witnessed Ellie pulling at her hair. Hair loss in a toddler is rarely random. It can signal extreme stress, poor nutrition, or a serious medical condition. And Ellie's babysitter, Michelle Barrow, along with her boyfriend Kevin Cliff, who lived in the apartment directly below, began to see clear signs that something was very wrong. Kevin would later testify in court about the heartbreaking changes he observed. The curious, lively child they once knew was fading. Ellie had become quiet, withdrawn, and strangely detached, not the behavior of a healthy 20-month-old. But what shocked them most was discovering how Elliaunna was being fed. Michelle had bought a high chair, thinking it would help Elliaunna learn to eat properly at the table. Instead, she was met with hostility. Cheyenne dismissed the idea entirely, insisting that Elliaunna liked to eat off the floor. Michelle, experienced with children, knew this was not normal. Later, Cameron Fleming told police even more disturbing details. Cheyenne would literally throw food onto the floor and call it free roaming, as if she were talking about an animal. His ex-wife confirmed seeing her toss donuts on the floor for the little girl, referring to it as grazing. As Ellie's condition worsened, Cheyenne tightened control over who could see her. Michelle testified that she was forbidden from taking Ellie for walks, from taking her to the park, or even bringing her to the doctor. On November 22nd, 2022, just one day before Ellie would be hospitalized, Kevin Cliff recalled a chilling conversation. Cheyenne firmly told them she didn't want Ellie taken to any doctor or hospital, that it was her decision alone, because she was the mother. By then, Child Protective Services had already received 2 separate anonymous reports in the days leading up to the tragedy. Callers described smelling marijuana and strong chemical odors from the apartment, noticing suspicious injuries on the child, including fingerprint-shaped marks on both sides of her face, as if someone had gripped her and squeezed. Another caller said Ellie appeared half dead, barely able to lift her head. But help didn't come in time.
A report made, let me pull the actual date, a few days ago, for mom, who is Cheyenne Hill.
Yeah.
Baby is, oh, you got all that, Elliaunna. So it was reported on the 17th that they were staying with Cameron Fleming and his 2 children, and the home belongs to Cameron, and that strong chemical drug-like smells were coming from the apartment, as well as marijuana.
Cameron who?
Fleming.
And where does he live?
It says 7 Maple Ridge, but we checked it out. That's not an apartment. So we got 5 from what we tried. But mom will be able to give us that. And then the child also has a babysitter, Michelle Morrow. And this report was for drug use. And then it also mentioned the child had lightened bruises on her face, and that it was said that she fell out of bed. And then we got a 2-hour today from these people who she's been staying with. They refused to give their name or address to the hotline, but it's Cameron and Kara Fleming. And this one reported that mom had left for work and left the baby in the care of these people, and then the baby was unresponsive, and so they came here. And so now we're here.
And mom's claiming that the baby fell out of bed?
That's what she claimed initially. Of course, this child has so many injuries. You can scroll through. That's just what the nurses got today. The baby also has a brain bleed and a broken collarbone. But it looks like those bruises have been there.
What are these looking like to you?
That looks like cigarette burns
That's
to
what
me.
I was getting ready to say.
That's what I thought as well.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see the kids' skeletal survey.
Yep.
As well as like CT scans and MRIs. Yeah. Yeah. So I barely talked to mom. I just wanted to wait till you guys got here and they got us a room. And then we've got a drug screen, mom and babysitter too. So I just figured we can do it together.
November 23rd, 2022. Ellie's final day. Cheyenne claimed she woke around 3:40 a.m. to hear her daughter whimpering and noticed swelling on her forehead. Instead of calling for medical help, she allowed Ellie to go back to sleep. By 8 a.m., the toddler's skin was pale, her breathing was shallow, and her limbs were tense. Any parent would have recognized these as life-threatening signs, but Cheyenne didn't call an ambulance. Instead, she spent the next 40 minutes on the phone with Cameron Fleming, talking about the child's condition while those precious minutes slipped away. Her attempts to help were not only useless, but dangerous for a child suffering from a traumatic brain injury. She poured water into Ellie's mouth, sprayed water on her face, trying to force her awake. These acts did nothing to address the real emergency. And with each passing moment, Ellie's life ebbed further away. The most chilling detail of that morning was that, before leaving for work, Cheyenne smoked marijuana to calm herself. While her daughter's life was slipping away, her focus was not on medical help, but on her own comfort and her upcoming shift.
Sorry that we have to come together today like this, under these circumstances. My name's Jim Sloan. I'm a detective at the Sheriff's Department, and I'll just tell you that recording. The one thing that I want to tell you that I want you to make sure that you understand is you are not being detained. You are not under arrest. Okay, you're free to leave at any time. Okay, we would appreciate your cooperation to obviously. I'm sure you're wanting to get to Indianapolis, and we would appreciate your cooperation to help us figure out what's going on and give us some details. Are you willing to do that for us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First of all, are you Cheyenne?
I'm Cheyenne Hill.
Okay. And is it CH?
EYE and then E.
And your middle initial?
N for Nicole.
N. Okay. And your last name?
Hill. Hill.
And your date of
Maiden
birth?
name's Russell.
Okay. And your date of birth?
3/20/1990.
Can you tell me what happened?
Well, this morning, whenever at 3:40 to 5:20, she was awake and coherent and fine. She went to sleep.
3:20.
3:40 to 5:20.
3:40.
She was awake and coherent. I was asleep. Cameron sat with her so I could sleep. She went back to bed. When she went to bed at 5:20, she cried a little bit and went right back to sleep. I woke up at 8 o'clock. She was still sleeping. She was snoring. So she was, as far as I knew, fine. I went into Cameron's room and hung out with him for a little bit to talk, and then went back in there to wake her up before I went to work to take her down to the babysitter, and she wouldn't wake up. I thought maybe she was just too tired. I asked him if I could leave her with him for as long as if he needed to call me to do that so I could go to work. I went to work for an hour, and he said that he thinks that she needed to go to the hospital. So I came to go and took her to the hospital. Michelle brought me and I babysitted.
Now, when you, from the time you left her and went to work until you had returned and brought her here, had you noticed anything physically different?
No.
Nothing visibly?
No, whenever I left, she still had some bruising and stuff from last night that was new. Michelle knew, she said nothing happened, so she just had some slight bruising on her face.
Who's Michelle?
My babysitter. Whenever I picked her up, I was like, oh, she has some more bruises, and then, I think about it like she's a baby, and she bruises easily, which she might have lupus, so we're not sure if it's because of that she's bruising easily. nothing had been different. That she originally had a knot on her head because she fell. She rolled off the bed about a week and a half ago. I'm
Where
not
was
sure
that
if she
at?
had anything else. It was at Cameron's house. It was in my bed. She just rolled off and onto the floor. Our floor is wooden, but that's all that happened, and she had a lump. So the lump had went down. Brett had seen it. It was just a little lump.
Right,
So
the lump was here in between her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I had iced it last night because it looked like it was a little bit bigger, so I iced it to try to get the swelling down.
Okay.
And then
Did she?
Cameron iced
hang
it
on
last
just a minute.
night too.
Just when this up here occurred, did she have? Was there any other problems with her as far as mobility
No,
wise?
she was fine.
Does she
walked
crawl
fine.
or
She
walk?
walks.
She does walk, and playing and moving her arms and stuff like that was all good.
Yeah.
Okay, continue on.
And then last night was fine too. She was walking fine. I gave her a bath before bed too. And she was playing in the bathtub fine. But whenever she went back to sleep at 5:20, and then whenever I woke up, and then she was snoring, which she snores. I didn't think anything was wrong with her. I didn't think it was wrong with her.
What?
Anyway. So, I thought maybe she was just too tired. I didn't know that she had, was having a brain bleed. How was I supposed to know she was having a fucking brain bleed?
Hill describes Ellie's sleeping patterns, saying when she checked on the girl, she seemed all right. But Hill also says she discussed Ellie's health with Cameron, and together they decided she didn't need to go to the hospital.
I'm sorry. Cameron tells you that she looks pale.
Mm-hmm.
You tried to wake her up. She just grunted.
Made little noises like she didn't want to be bothered.
Okay. And then what did you say or do?
Continued to try to wake her up.
And then
She
what?
just
She wouldn't wake
didn't
up.
want to wake up.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I checked her eyes. They didn't dilate, but they seemed normal. Like they were normal.
What do you mean you checked her eyes?
To see if they dilated, to see if
Demonstrate for me how you checked her eyes. Okay, so you opened her eyelids.
Yes.
Okay,
see if
gotcha.
She was coherent,
Okay, gotcha.
but she didn't do anything, just grunted at me. I thought maybe she was just dead asleep, like a normal...
Okay.
God!
And then what?
But she had started the posturing then, apparently, because I noticed that she had been doing this with her hands and her feet. I asked him to see if he would keep her, and I texted Michelle to let her know that I wasn't bringing her down because she didn't feel good, but I might have to have her take me to the hospital with her. I left at about 9:30 to go to work. I walked. Someone saw me and picked me up and drove me the rest of the way. I was at work until 10:57 whenever Kara came and got me.
What time was that you were at work until?
10:57. I started at 10. I was texting him the whole time trying to see if I needed to come home and take her to the hospital.
Eventually, Hill says she realized things were really off with Ellie, and that's when she decided to take her to the ER.
I went and took Ellie down to I noticed that she was not, moving well at all. So I picked her up, and when I did, I put her clothes and her coat on her, and her blankie, and I grabbed her bag, and I took her down. And when we got here, I noticed that she was kind of cold, and did all this stuff here.
Why didn't anybody just call 911 for an ambulance?
I don't know. Just what got my daughter and took her in.
Okay.
Just asked her that way, I think. I don't know. I don't think about it like that. I just picked up my daughter and brought her to the hospital.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The whole time she was fine until she wasn't. She showed no signs of brain bleeding or anything like that. She was walking. She can't talk. But she's fine.
At this point, first responders discussed the child abuse tip.
So on 11/17
Thanks.
at 1:38 p.m., a report was made to the hotline alleging mom had neglected her daughter. And in that report, it was alleging, and she's already well aware of this because I had to meet with her on Monday, alleging suspicious smells coming from the nearby apartment home, that it is unknown which apartment the smells come from, but that mom visits the other apartments near her quite often with Ellie in her care.
Elliaunna, Plummer's mom. Hi,
Okay.
When I had mom take her out of the car seat, out of the car, Michelle's car, Michelle was in the driver's, she was acting fine.
Yes.
She was alert, she was awake, she was moving. And one thing I do know about her is she's never really been verbal. I'd have to get clarification from mom about whether there's like a speech delay or what that looks like. So, I mean, she was moving, there was no weird mannerisms or anything like that. Mom had brought to my attention, because I asked her first what she thought we got a report on the phone, like when she was agreeing to meet with me, and she thought we got a report because the child had a knot, is what she said, on their forehead from falling out of the bed. So she said that story. When I went and saw her, I didn't see a knot or anything raised in the middle of the head, not even, really a mark on her head.
Pardon me.
Sorry.
So then, it's a pretty quick meeting. Mom did drug tests. She has only admitted to the marijuana use, and we're still waiting for those results back. She had put her back in her car. Last thing I had seen from her was her strapped in, her facing, and then waving to mom, and then starting to cry because she didn't want her mom to go to work and stuff. So
Cameron Fleming would later describe Ellie's forehead as so grotesquely swollen, it reminded him of a Klingon from Star Trek. According to him, the injury had been visible for at least 8 to 10 days, perfectly matching the timeline of the anonymous CPS calls. For more than a week, this toddler had walked around with a severe head injury that distorted her face, and no one took her to a doctor. That morning, neighbors downstairs heard what would be the last sounds Ellie ever made. Kevin Cliff recalled in court that the child was crying when Cheyenne shouted, "Shut up, or I'll throw you into the wall." Those were the final words this 20-month-old heard from her mother. Not comfort, not reassurance, but a threat of further violence. On November 23, 2022, Hill finally brought her unresponsive daughter to University Health Hospital Bedford. What the medical team found horrified even seasoned professionals. Ellie was emaciated. Her head was grossly swollen and misshapen. Multiple injuries covered her small body, but as doctors fought to save her, Cheyenne began performing, alternating between loud, dramatic sobbing and unsettling, stone-faced silence. Staff later described her demeanor as an emotional roller coaster, but not one born of genuine grief. It looked calculated. The 7-page medical report was devastating. Lacerations were found inside her mouth, both upper and lower, alongside an acute fracture of the right clavicle. Bruises in various stages of healing marked her head, torso, and limbs. The brain hemorrhage alone was unsurvivable. Cuts on her scalp pointed to multiple strikes with a blunt object. The pattern of injuries told a clear story. Repeated assaults over an extended period. Her body was constantly trying to heal, only to be harmed again. Even as her daughter lay in critical condition, Cheyenne made disturbing remarks. On November 25th, she spoke to a representative from the Indiana Donor Network about organ donation. But during that conversation, she compared her toddler to Jeffrey Dahmer, calling her not a nice kid, and saying something was wrong with her. Shockingly, She then left the hospital to go to work. On her way to Indianapolis, she phoned Cameron Fleming, asking him to save her a Thanksgiving plate and whether she'd have a place to stay if something happened to Ellie. While her child was dying, Cheyenne was buying a phone, sandwiches, and coffee at Walmart. Medical staff noticed she didn't shed a single tear when told her daughter's condition was critical. There was no panic, no urgency, just cold detachment. Forensic pathologist Dr. Amanda Paul later testified that Ellie had sustained multiple blows to the head. Subdural bleeding on both sides, heavier on the right, indicated powerful impacts that ruptured blood vessels in the brain. These injuries meant she had been brain dead long before doctors pronounced her dead. Andrea Powers, a nurse from the Child Protection Program, confirmed that Cheyenne provided no plausible accidental explanation for the injuries. The bruises covered nearly every part of Ellie's body: face, forehead, cheeks, chest, back, thighs, arms, and her weight was 10 pounds below normal for her age. She was both abused and chronically malnourished. At 4:35 p.m., on November 26, 2022, Elliaunna Margie Plummer was pronounced dead at just 20 months old. Even in death, Ellie gave life. Her heart saved a little boy. Her liver went to a young girl. Her kidneys gave a second chance to a 40-year-old man. On November 29th, the autopsy confirmed what was already clear. The manner of death was homicide. The fatal injuries occurred after November 21st, meaning Ellie's final days were marked by especially brutal violence. 2 weeks after her daughter's burial, Cheyenne sat across from detectives, still believing she could outsmart them. One question shattered her act. Why did you go to work when your daughter was dying in the hospital? The footage that followed showed the truth. No grief, no remorse, only a chilling absence of emotion.
The pathology report it's the medical personnel's if it takes more than just a Band-Aid, I'm not very, I don't have any business making any calls on that. So until that path is back, and she told me at autopsy that it could be up to 3 months, which was November, December, January, February. So
it should be so.
Well, today's the 7th, and that was the 23rd, so hopefully within the next few.
So I had mentioned something because I had asked you about how Kara had mentioned to me that it looked like someone had done that to her face. And I had asked you about if you could get the, I didn't say fingerprints, I think you had misunderstood me. I was wondering if you could get an accurate size of a hand.
Well, it doesn't matter if I misunderstood you or not, because the answer to your question is in regards to fingerprints.
Fingerprints, like I know that there was marks on her face, and the markings means that the bruising. I meant by markings and bruising, could you tell what size the person's hand was?
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain, so that you have a full understanding of it. The possibility of it occurring is that to get fingerprints is a possibility. What you're referring to is you're saying finger marks.
Okay.
It's it's the same difference. It's just like if you push up on a window.
Your print's gonna be there.
Well, not necessarily. And the reason is because you might be able to see if you push up and your fingers slide, then it has slid the prints. So all you have is finger marks. If you touch the window and lift off of it, then there's a good chance that you might have fingerprints. In regards to the size of the hand, there is a possibility of that as well. There are variable factors that's going to come into play in that. If you got somebody with a big fat head like me, as opposed to a 20-month-old, you know, a smaller hand's going to fit better over a 20-month-old as opposed to, you know, a full-size overweight man.
That's why I'm trying to figure it out, because I know that whenever she pointed out that someone would have grabbed her face like this or held her mouth closed, to me that sounds like someone whose hand, I saw the marks on her face. Mm-hmm. So someone's hand had to have been small enough to have been like this on her face.
Or?
My hand would have been like this.
Well, but there's...
So whose hand would have been small enough?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Cheyenne, is that there are, the one thing that I said in there was that there are variables that's going to play into those markings, and that is if you have first of all, you are assuming that that mark was, that hand is placed in this manner.
In this next clip, Hill mentions someone named Carrie, who she says is Cameron's estranged wife. She also mentions Kevin and Michelle, who lived in the same building that she and Cameron did. Throughout all this, investigators tell Hill not to jump to conclusions.
At least that's what Cameron had mentioned, was that you guys were leery because I locked the door to the bathroom whenever I cut Ellie's hair. Ellie's hair was falling out from what I thought was lupus.
See, here you go again. Here you go again. At no point in time did I ever say or give any indication, nor did anybody else, that why would I care if you locked the bathroom door? As far as I knew, you were going to the bathroom.
Because that's what Cameron said.
Well, are you seeing a pattern here that I'm telling you about? I know Mom's picking up on it. And that is that you have a tendency to engage in this he said, she said, they said, this is what I heard deal. And, you know, Cameron may be on the up and up, and he may have honestly interpreted that I was, you know, questioning as to why the bathroom door was locked. But
we also know that Cameron has problems remembering anything because of his parasite effect. When he could, and Cameron's really sick.
I know. I know.
And he might just have trouble putting stuff together, because he really does.
Well, he didn't remember that the one guinea pig had died, right?
It's not a guinea pig,
right?
It's a ferret.
Well, he
Is that right?
About Cheyenne and Ellie the other day.
Okay, so...
He thought they still lived across the hall.
So if that's the case, if he can forget, I mean, we all know how much he's passionate about his guinea pigs, right?
I love
No.
them.
There you go off on a... Okay. Am I correct, yes or no, that Cameron...
Forgot about Polly dying, yes.
And he's passionate
and he
about
forgot
that.
about
And
Ellie's dying the other day.
And he's passionate about it, right? Is there any possibility that Cameron may be the person that injured Ellie and forgot about it? I mean, you were smoking quite a bit of pot, and he was...
Yeah, but pot doesn't make you forget things like that.
Well, Cheyenne, I wasn't born yesterday, and I know what was going on.
I was smoking weed. I've never smoked anything.
And what did you just say there? What did you
There's no way that he did that.
I'm not saying
There's no way that he hurt Ellie. I would have known.
How would you have known?
Because...
Would it have been the same way you know whether Kevin and Michelle hurt Ellie?
Because Kevin and Michelle, whenever she'd come back, she would have a bruise bigger from there. That's why it had to have been Kevin and Michelle, because the time frame that they said that it happened.
That's who you want. That's who you want to believe.
No, actually,
Kevin
I want to believe whoever will go to jail, even if it was Cameron.
Then you need to, and I'm not attempting to upset you. I'm not attempting to upset you, and I know I am, but I'm just being candor and frank with you.
Investigators say they're still working to determine what exactly happened to Ellie, as Hill doubles down, saying the girl fell off her bed.
You know, I shouldn't say I have done a lot of homework in this. And we continue to work on it. And hopefully, within a reasonable amount of time, we'll be able to come to some sort of conclusion. But even to your own accord, there were other aspects of Ellie's health that should have been addressed before, for the lack of a better term, or me not knowing what to call it, a lethal blow, if you will. I mean, there was weeks prior to her death that she had an obvious head injury.
No, it wasn't weeks.
What?
It had only been a week. As far as I know, it had only been a week. She fell off the bed is what I thought happened to her. I didn't know there were weeks of head injuries.
So
The lump on her head, the hematoma, is what Cameron called it, was a hematoma. Because it was what would be considered a subdural hematoma, because he told me that's what it's called as a nurse.
Hill then gets defensive about not taking Ellie to the hospital sooner.
Whenever I didn't take her to the hospital is because he told me that she would be fine as long as I stood and took care of it. And I started to take care of it, get all the icing and everything started to go down. And then she goes back to Kevin and Michelle's on Monday night. She's got a bigger...
They didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I told them to ice it.
I know.
But this,
I don't want to talk about it.
This took place. She had bruising, and this head injury, a head injury. Oh,
I thought a week.
A week and a half. Yeah.
It would have been about a week and a half when you took her in.
But where did you take her to?
No, I took her to the hospital. I didn't take her until after.
What hospital did you take her to?
I didn't take her until after I took her at the hospital whenever you and I saw each other.
That's correct.
See, I kept thinking maybe she's hurt herself in some other way because she's a baby. She gets her head all stuff. But I never thought that someone was beating on my child. If I would have thought someone was beating on my child, I'd killed him. Because that's my...
It's the only baby she can have.
From here, Hill only gets more upset.
Don't get it. You don't get it because she was my daughter. She slept like that. She slept like the dead. And it sucks because I didn't know. And I will always feel that pain that I didn't know to take her to the hospital. That was my baby and I never would have put her in that position. I never would have left her to die. She was my child. She was my everything. I would have given my life for her. And you have no idea how badly that hurts me that I didn't take her in. That I didn't know to take her in. I went to work for an hour of my time and I feel terrible for that, so much so that I can't even go back to work. You don't know what it's like. Don't act like you do because I didn't forget about her. I spent the entire time trying to figure out whether or not she'd wake up. I asked people at work whether or not it was normal for babies to do that. That's what I did. I asked them at work. You can ask them. Asked Evelyn. I asked her, I said, is it normal for a baby to sleep like that? Because I thought she hit that stage of REM sleep. That's what I thought. But no, I was wrong for going to work to provide for my family, right? I've done nothing but try to take care of her. I will live with her the rest of my life. Whether or not I failed her, as you said. But I didn't do it intentionally. I didn't do it because I wanted my daughter to die.
I would give anything to have her back, and I won't get her back. I spend every day crying. I have PTSD so severe that and I don't know what to do. Counseling's supposed to help, and I'm not going to counseling because I don't think it will. I'm losing my mind. He was my one and only. I had a C-section in my tube side. Ellie was it.
Because the doctors weren't going to allow her to have any more. They told her that they wanted her to abort Ellie, and she didn't do it. Because it was the only baby she could ever have. And she risked her life having her. Only if I were to die. It makes no sense to me. But if you say that you may never have answers, you can't do that. You can't never have answers, not for me, for Ellie. You can't. You cannot never have answers. That's not fair. Because I can't move forward without her and without knowing what they did to my daughter. Anyone, they, human, person, whoever up and killed my daughter. I want to know who did it. I want to know why. I want to know why someone would hurt her. I don't understand why someone would hurt her. I don't get why a baby, you know, her birthday was next month. Her birthday would be the 25th, 5 days after mine. Her birthday, for her second birthday, I can't even celebrate her second birthday. I won't ever get to see my baby get married. I won't ever get to see her go to kindergarten. I didn't get Christmas with her. I cried all Christmas. I don't know how I am supposed to move forward without knowing what happened to her.
I have two questions for you.
Okay.
The first question I have for you is, I would like to know if you watch any type of TV and like investigative shows and so on and so forth, but it also is true that when you investigate a homicide, the course of action that takes place is, who are the first people that you have to clear? Mm-hmm. Do you know the answer to that?
No.
The answer to that is the person or persons that are closest to the victim.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? And that's obviously going to be you.
Yeah.
We have to clear you. Okay? And one of the easiest ways to do that is, I would like to know if you will take a polygraph.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I 100% know that that's what happened to my kid, and I'm so very angry. Because I keep thinking about the fact that they were meeting me outside and they weren't. I hadn't hung out with Kevin. I didn't know. I didn't even think anything weird could have been going on. But now,
let me back up and say,
sorry.
You had said you were 100% know that that's what happened.
That they had to have murdered my daughter. I know that they had to have murdered my daughter. I don't know how I didn't realize.
I hate myself so much because I went to work. It's literally, it's like a freaking nightmare, and I have every night that I should have done something more. But there wasn't anything I could have done because she was already brain dead because they beat on my baby.
Cheyenne fled to Michigan, but was arrested during a traffic stop in Marquette County on September 17, 2023, and extradited to Indiana 8 days later. In February 2024, she stood trial for neglect resulting in death. The jury took just 2 hours to convict her. The evidence, texts, witnesses, medical reports, and her own behavior was overwhelming. On April 23, 2024, Judge John Plummer sentenced 34-year-old Cheyenne Hill to 30 years in prison. She showed no reaction as the sentence was read. The judge's words cut through the courtroom. This little girl needed someone to speak for her, protect her, advocate for her. It was Cheyenne's responsibility to do that, and she did not. This is very tragic. In the end, some measure of justice was delivered for Elliaunna. At sentencing, her father, Aaron Plummer, spoke through deep pain, words heavy with grief. "I am certain she did this. I couldn't bear to sit in that courtroom and listen to every detail of what happened to my baby. I will never have the chance to be her father. My daughter is gone. And her 12-year-old sister, Clara, will never know her baby sister."
Morning.
Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Cheyenne.
Oh, he knows who I am. I was advised not to speak with you without my attorney.
It's up to you.
Why am I here? Why am I speaking with you? Why did you do this to me?
I didn't do it to you.
You did.
No, I didn't.
My attorney.
You don't want to
be
talk to me,
present.
get out.
I did.
If you don't want to talk to me, get out.
Elliaunna Margie Plummer was born on March 25, 2021. If she were still here, she would be 4 years old. She might be picking out her first backpack for kindergarten, learning to read, playing with dolls, giggling at bedtime stories, and filling her family's home with joy. Instead, her life ended at just 20 months old, taken by the very people who were supposed to protect her. Over the course of 18 months, neighbors called Child Protective Services 4 times. Witnesses reported suspicious injuries. The babysitter described unbearable conditions. But no action came soon enough. The system failed, and Ellie paid for it with her life. Her story is a reminder. If you see a child in danger, speak up. Do not wait. Do not hope someone else will step in. Every child deserves safety, love, and a chance to grow. Elliaunna never got that chance, but remembering her name and telling her story can ensure her death is not in vain. If you've stayed with this video until the end, thank you. By sharing these stories, we keep these children's voices alive when they can no longer speak for themselves. Your support makes it possible to keep uncovering these cases, raising awareness, and pushing for change. Thank you for caring, for watching, and for making sure children like Ellie are never forgotten.